I am a realtor. I've been selling homes in Glendale, La Cañada, La Crescenta. It's considered the foothills of the Los Angeles basin. I've been doing this for about 25 years, and I'm also a second generation realtor. I grew up steeped in the old style traditions of selling real estate, which is very much belly to belly and personal relationships. And yet, there's such an opportunity to engage on a much larger scale using social media, using video, using blogging, and became very interested in exploring this new medium. And so I've been kind of obsessed for about 2 years with really flexing my muscles and figuring out how to communicate on a better and more valuable level for my clientele. So, can you see this, the keynote thing, the video
We
basics?
can. It says
Okay.
video basics from
Yeah.
idea to YouTube.
Yeah. So I'm a pretty linear thinker. So I just wanted to give you an idea of what I do, kind of a soup to nuts production level, from the idea all the way to distributing it and having my clients see it. So um, the first thing I want to tell you is I have some friends because I live in Los Angeles who are industry based. And a producer director told me something that changed the course of how I do videos forever. He says, Kendall, the weird thing about real estate video is that realtors don't seem to have an idea of what they're trying to communicate. And I think things could be so improved if realtors could just remember the basics of storytelling. There should be a beginning, there should be a middle, and there should be an end. And it sounds so basic, but it really is true. Think about most of the videos you see. There's not a coherent story that's being told. And as human beings, that's what we really want. We want to hear the beginning, the middle, and the end. So think about that as you tell a story. Whenever I come up with a concept, I start with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and I do plan what I want to communicate and how I want to communicate that. So I first start with my equipment. I am a huge fan of Mark Passerby and hardhat.com. I use his stuff. I'm somebody who I don't have the budget of Halstead. I don't have the brilliance of Corcoran. I don't have the ability to play on the scale of these large brokers. I'm a real estate agent who is passionately involved with the quality of my brand. And so I want to do things to the best of my ability, but I have a limited budget. So after going through a series of point and shoot cameras, I had the Sony Playtouch, I had the flip camera, I've tried even the DSLR. Nothing works as well as my iPhone 4S and the ultra wide angle lens that Mark sells for a phenomenally low price for the quality that you get. And then because I do a lot of in front of camera stuff and I do interviews with people, sound is so important. It's almost more important than visuals. So I do have a lavalier mic that I put into the camera. So this package right here is the utter bomb for a do-it-yourselfer who still wants fabulous quality and wants to be able to produce the best representation of their brand. So that's what I use, and trust someone who's experimented with like literally everything. This is it. This is until Mark comes up with something better. This is it. I also edit my videos. I am pretty rabid about getting my message down into the most efficient package possible to really respect my audience's time. So this is what I use. I first use once I shoot it, I port it into iMovie and edit it from there. And I've gotten pretty good with it. iMovie is so intuitive and it has so many tools that you can do a very simple edit, just get rid of the ums, the ahs, and the shaky movement, all the way to a full-on production. So I use iMovie. I also do educational videos and that are not me in front of the camera or live action, and I will use Keynote. That's my favorite app. Obviously, I'm a Mac person. You could use the PC equivalent, which I've already forgotten what that is. I used to do that too, but now I use Keynote. And I capture the Keynote presentation on my computer using ScreenFlow. that captures my voice narrating the slides that I've created, and it gives a wonderful educational experience for the client. And I like to back my videos with music. I think that it really takes you away from the boring talking head to have appropriate music, generally upbeat, but I pick my music according to my message. And I just think that it just gives the finishing touch and creates an interesting product that will captivate the viewer's attention from beginning to end. Um, Once you've edited your video, how do you distribute it? How do you get it out there? So for me, I looked at Vimeo and I thought it was great, but I also thought, well, gosh, YouTube is the second largest search engine in the universe. So I want to have that presence there. So I do have my stuff on YouTube, and then once it's on YouTube, I write a blog post about my YouTube video, and I usually do a truncated version because a lot of my friends and colleagues don't have time to watch video. So I want to serve both communication avenues by having the video as well as the transcript for people who would rather read. And then that blog is linked out to my Facebook business page, and depending on what the content of the video is, I might also link that to a community page that I maintain, or it might even go to my personal profile. I'm respectful of the message and who wants to read it. I take it out to Twitter. And then something new for me is I started linking some of my blog posts to Pinterest, the ones that are most visually interesting. I link out to Pinterest. As Matthew mentioned, it is a huge driver back to my blog. So, I'm not sure how many of the people who are linking from Pinterest are actually interested in real estate in Glendale, but it's certainly worth the experiment because it's such a huge distribution channel. So I wanted to talk about some of the best practices that I've learned. I have about 160 videos, and I've been doing it for about, I've probably been doing video for about 2-3 years now. I've learned a lot by taking a look at my analytics and deciding where I get the most views and where I get the most views all the way through to the end of the video, and where I get my engagement and comments. And quite frankly, the feedback that I get when I'm out at the doors or holding open house. I get a lot of people who come up to me and say, wow, I really loved your video about X. So taking all that feedback into account, here's what I think is the most important things to take away. And that is something that Seth Godin said about writing blog posts. And I think it's just as important when you're doing your videos, is to have your videos should be really tight bundles. They should be little thimbles of value, and you really need to respect your audience. Think about who your audience is and what is going to add value to their day, either as a member of your community or as someone who is interested in buying or selling real estate. What is going to be valuable to them? And do that, not what you want to do. I mean, you might want to do something about a long and hoary post about the market trends in your neighborhood, and maybe your particular audience couldn't give, well, I was probably going to cuss, and it's probably not a good thing to do in a national audience, but they don't care about maybe what you want. Maybe they do, but think about that. I think it's important to edit, 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 edit. I see a lot of realtors' videos that are, I call that verbally vomiting, and that is just talking without thought of what story or point you want to make. Or I see people doing interviews with maybe local business people, and there's no editing, and it just goes really long, and it's not tight. So edit, please. I think that's really important for your brand, for your message, for what you want to do. Keep it under 2 minutes as at all possible. This is probably one of the hardest things that I do, is to figure out how to deliver my message, do it effectively, and do it in under 2 minutes. But if you do, it really is a valuable exercise. You learn a lot about how you're communicating. So keep it under 2 minutes. That's value for the audience time, that kind of encompasses. And then the last one is be authentic, be who you are. You may not be the movie star that Matthew indicated in one of his, and I'm certainly not. Most of the people that I know are not. But you are who you are, and your clients are going to gravitate to who you are. So it doesn't do any good to be anything different than that. So talk the way you are, be who you are. I would just totally focus on that. Ross had asked me to give you my best concepts of what I do for video, and I've got a pretty varied book of business, if you will. I don't stick to one particular thing because I'm always trying to figure out what my audience wants to hear, what's going to give value to their lives. So I kind of broke it down into a few categories. First one that I do are educational videos. I get a lot of questions that seem to come up again and again and again. You all do. Check your inbox for the emails that have been given to you by your clients, and you'll see the same questions. How much can I knock off the price? What do I need to do to prepare my home for sale? We all get asked them. So I started a series of questions, a series of videos for frequently asked questions for sellers. I'm starting to do the same for buyers. Under the same heading would be how-tos. Again, it's kind of the same thing as frequently asked questions, but you can expand this a little bit to think about, okay, there's a particular type of thing that people really want to know: how to find the best house, how to fill in the blank. There's a lot of ways that you can go with this. And kind of a subset of the how-tos is what a consumer can expect from a professional realtor. I participate in a board that Ross is on too, which is Raise the Bar. And I find that there are a lot of realtors are very unclear as to what they do to add value to their customers' experience. And I try to make some videos that addresses those things. One of the ideas that I got from Michael McClure is, Mythbusters. What are the myths that my clients believe in? And how can I bust that myth that will make their experience, their ability to buy or sell, better and more efficient? And so I started a video series of Mythbusters in real estate. You can do the same. I also do community-based videos, and these are by far the most popular in terms of the number of views that I've accumulated over the years. And the reason is pretty obvious. These have a very long shelf life. Whereas if I have a video walk tour through one of my listings, it's only good for as long as the listing's on the market. But if I do a community video, then that is something that people are going to return to again and again and again, and I can use them in a lot of different contexts. The easiest one that I do is for community events. I'll go to a festival, I'll go to a game, I'll go to a parade, whatever you like. And I just am out there with my iPhone 4 and I'm shooting pictures and I'm taking short little video clips. I'm looking for movement, I'm looking for authenticity, I'm looking for color, I'm looking for people who are willing to talk to me about, why are they there or what do they like about it. And then I come back with all of this, good stuff, and I stick it into iMovie, and it is a moving version of a slideshow. You can use a service like Animoto.com to kind of automate that process for you. I'm pretty good at editing at this point, so I do it in iMovie. But people love that, and I back the whole thing with some really upbeat, cute music, and it's very, very popular. People talk about that. They come up to me all the time. Boy, I loved your video. You sure do know your community. You're really plugged in. All roads lead to Kendall. Well, yeah, they kind of do. Do your neighborhood videos. I think it's less valuable to take pictures of houses and to pan across a business district, and it's more valuable to talk to people that live in the neighborhood about why they chose that neighborhood. Talk to businesses. Why do they like having their business? What kind of clientele? What need are they serving in the neighborhood? To go to parks and to film what's going on in the park and what kind of life is there. So I like to show what it's like to live there. I don't like to show just kind of static shots, but that's my preference. And local businesses, that's already been mentioned, but it is a really awesome thing to do. The goodwill that you create on all sides of the coin is phenomenal. So just interview the local business. What are they doing? Why are they doing it? What need are they filling for the neighborhood? What do they want to tell their clientele? It's really awesome. Client stories. So I have a little bone to pick with most testimonial videos that I see out there. I mean, really, seriously, how many times can you watch Kendall is great, Kendall is wonderful, Kendall does a great job? Seriously, that is so boring. So what I like to do, and you can tell I like to tell stories, I like to interview my clients about their particular journey in whatever they did with me. And everyone that I've done tells a specific story that I think will help somebody else. So like I did a client story for a first time buyer. I did one for a story with someone who bought contingent on the sale of her house. I'm doing one right now where two generations are selling their homes and combining forces into one large home. And I think these are interesting stories. And it starts with, what are you afraid of? What do you think is going to happen? What is your process? How are you going to approach this? I might interview them a couple of times during the process. How are you feeling about this? Are things going the way you expected? And then interview them at the end. Did you get what you expected to get? What went sideways? What went really well? And what advice do you have for people on the end? In the process of telling the story, they always talk about something that I did that really helped them. And so it is a testimonial, but it's a fascinating one that people become very engaged in. So I would recommend thinking about testimonials in that direction, and be a little bit different, because bringing value to people's lives is what's really going to earn the business for you. Market reports. So I have done market reports, and I have done them in every format that I could possibly think of, and I think they are all tremendously boring. That's just my opinion. I am an expert. I'm a numbers geek. I'm a charts geek. I can rock a chart better than you could possibly imagine. Pie charts, 3D charts, graphs. I could do it all, and they are all really boring. So if anybody has ideas of how to do it in a non-boring way, I'm all ears. But in general, if you can't do it in an entertaining, tight, valuable way, don't do it as a video. Write an insightful post, illustrate it with great graphs. But video, I'm just not convinced. But I see it a lot out there, so I thought I would bring it up. And then the last one is the obvious, house tours. Mark Passerby has the most amazing tutorials on doing house tours known to mankind. And I think that that is a really great place to start. I am always experimenting. Again, I want to tell a story. Every house has a unique story, and I want to find that and tell it. And I also think that it's important and interesting to tell the story of what it's like to live in this house, which oftentimes includes some information about what the community has to offer, what shopping, what amenities, what's going on around there. My current favorite question for the homeowner is, what are you going to miss about living in this